All right, today we're going to dive into a really tragic event, but we're doing it to understand something crucial that, let's be honest, most of us put off for way too long: planning for the future. We're going to see why getting your affairs in order isn't just for the old or the super wealthy, it is absolutely for everyone.
So let's set the scene. The date is September 10th, 2025. We're at Utah Valley University, and an event is about to unfold that will send absolute shockwaves across the entire country.
When conservative activist Charlie Kirk was killed, Utah's governor didn't mince words. He immediately called it a political assassination. And that single quote right there, it just captures the shocking, violent nature of what happened. And it really sets the stage for all the chaos that followed, both in public and, more importantly, in private. Okay, so to really get why this story is so important, we first have to understand who Charlie Kirk was. We need to look past the headlines for a second.
What's so fascinating here is that Charlie Kirk basically lived two lives. On one hand, you've got the public figure, right? The guy who founded the massive Turning Point USA, the provocative debater, a real powerhouse in conservative circles. But then, on the other side, you see the family man, a husband to his wife Erika and a dad to two very, very young kids. And it's that second role that makes what happened next so incredibly painful.
And this number, wow, this is maybe the most jarring fact of all. Charlie Kirk was only 31 years old. I mean, it's just such a stark, sobering reminder that life is completely unpredictable. Tragedy really doesn't care if we're ready for it. So while his public legacy was already pretty much set in stone, his sudden death just ripped open this huge private void. It left behind a whole series of urgent, difficult questions for the people and the organization that he loved.
In the chaos right after, the focus immediately shifted to these huge uncertainties. How is his wife and their two little kids going to be provided for? Who legally is going to raise a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old? What on earth happens to the massive organization he built from scratch? And who gets control of his digital empire, all his podcasts, his social media?
And here is the absolute crucial point. When there is no formal plan in place, your personal wishes don't just vanish. No, they get handed over to the state. The future of your money, your business, and yes, even your children can get decided in this long, very public, and totally impersonal court process called probate.
So all of this uncertainty just begs the question, what does a proper plan even look like? Let's break down the essential tools that could have prevented all of this chaos.
First up, you have the foundation of any good plan, a will. Seriously, think of it like your personal instruction manual for after you're gone. It's where you say exactly who gets what, and maybe most importantly for parents, who you want to raise your kids. Without this, a court has to guess, and that just adds unimaginable stress to a family that's already grieving. Next up is a trust. This usually works hand in hand with a will. It's basically a tool that holds your assets for your loved ones. And here's the killer feature. It helps your family avoid that public, often messy probate court we were just talking about. What does that mean? It means more privacy and more control for them, not for the courts. For any parent out there, this might be the single most important decision of all. Formally naming a guardian for your children isn't just some suggestion you make. It is your way of making sure they are raised by someone you personally know and trust. Leaving that decision up to a judge is a scenario that I think no parent would ever want. But a really complete plan, it goes even further. It covers who your beneficiaries are for things like life insurance or retirement accounts. For a guy like Kirk, it would have included a business succession plan for Turning Point USA. And in our modern world, it even needs to cover your digital assets, what happens to your online identity. So we've looked at the tools, the nuts and bolts of a plan. But this story isn't just about some public figure. It holds a lesson that applies to every single one of us. Because this isn't really about a famous activist or a political tragedy. No, it's a real-world gut punch of an example of a universal truth. Being prepared for the future is a form of responsibility we have to the people we love most. When you boil it all down, here's why this stuff matters for you, for me, for everyone. A plan protects your family from financial chaos during their darkest moments. It preserves what's important to you, your values. It helps them sidestep a mountain of legal headaches. And most of all, it just acknowledges that life, as we've clearly seen, is totally and completely unpredictable.
At the end of the day,
This isn't just about documents and legal jargon. It's about taking control of your own story and making sure its final chapters are written exactly the way you want.
And that brings us to what I think is the most important takeaway of all. When you look at it this way, estate planning isn't really about preparing for death. It's an act of love for the people you'll one day leave behind. It is one of the most significant ways you can give your family peace of mind, right here, right now. So we'll end on this thought. Your legacy isn't just about what you accomplish in your life. It's also about the security and the clarity you leave behind. By planning today, you make sure that the next chapter for your loved ones is one of healing and remembrance, not one of confusion and conflict.